Hey guys, Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. Today I want to walk you through this fun Life Happens, Coffee Helps card. This is the theme of my week. Life happens, coffee helps. Coffee has been one of my main fuels through this week. This is a paper and ink sketch number 5 card. You can find the paper and ink sketches on my blog. There's a printable sketch with or without measurements. I usually go for the one without measurements because I leave my cards kind of up to interpretation for sketches. But if you look at my card, I think that you can see I rotated the sketch. It's kind of a mirror image. My panel here, my main panel, is off to the right instead of off to the left. But got a little creative there with that scallop border, but I think you see the sketch. I'd love it if you'd play along with the paper and ink sketches in my Facebook group. I have a Kitchen Table Stamper Craft social group in Facebook, and I'd love to see what you do with the paper and ink sketch and your Stampin' Up! Supplies. Let me go through the Stampin' Up! Supplies I used to make this card. Okay, I've got my seasonal layers Thinlits dies here. I used the big scallop edge for this border in my card. I've also got the new tab punch and tabs for everything, and we're going to use this to I don't know, it's like the supporting role to the brand new Coffee Cafe bundle. Coffee Cafe bundle includes Coffee Cafe stamps and the coffee cups framelits dies. And then you'll also need a 3/4 inch circle punch. I've got some linen thread. I've got a 1/16 inch hole punch. Stampin' pads are early espresso, garden green, crumb cake, and real red. And my paper supplies here are early espresso. This is 8.5 by 5.5. I score at 4 1/4. I've also got 4 1/8 by 2 5/8. That's for layering. Now I have decided that instead of using the Whisper white piece on the background here, I'm going to throw in another piece of this Coffee Break Designer Series paper. I think that's going to look pretty cool. So that's this one with the rings is 4 by 2 1/2. I also have a piece with dots that's 2 by 3. This is the same Coffee Break Designer Series paper. I've got this piece of wood grain from the Coffee Break Designer Series paper. The back of that one is a fun pattern too. That is 1 by 3 5/8. And then I've got this piece of Soft Sky herringbone, and it's got the coffee beans on the back. Love that paper. That is 5 1/4 by 3 1/4. All of these measurements will be available on my blog. There's a printable project sheet right below the video. Whether you're watching on YouTube or on the blog, the link is there. All right, I've got a couple of pieces of crumb cake, and this is important here. This one that's 3 5/8 by 1 3/4, that's our scallop piece. The other piece is a scrap that's about 1 1/2 by 3, that's for stamping. I've got a piece of pear pizzazz here, and it is 1 1/2 by 3 1/4. That's for punching our tab. And then I've got some scraps of Whisper white. This one's 1 3/4 by 2 1/2, and the other one is 1 1/2 by 4 1/2. They really are just scraps for doing our straw and lid, and then the tabs for everything over here. All right, I'm going to grab my Simply Scored scoring tool and score this card base. Okay, it's 8 1/2 by 5. We'll score at 4 1/4. I've got my bone folder. Going to square up my edges there and then turn it right side in. I do all my scoring inside out first and then right side in with the bone folder, because then the paper fibers stretch and crack on the inside of the card, leaving the outside fold very smooth. The bone folder makes it very crisp. I'm going to start out on this smaller piece of crumb cake, and I've got my, almost forgot, early espresso. Got my early espresso ink. Going to stamp the little coffee cozy, And then the Life Happens greeting. We're using garden green for the Life Happens greeting. Isn't that cute? I love that. Okay, then we've got this smaller piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to grab my coffee lid and stamp that with Early Espresso. The next image is this whipped cream image, and I'm going to stamp off the crumb cake ink and then stamp my little whipped cream second generation. Now here I've got the straw image, and I'm going to ink it up in garden green and pop it right into our beverage. I'm going to need a second straw after we die cut, so let's stamp that little guy right there. Now I've got this little scallop circle image. This is from Tabs for Everything. We're going to stamp that on the scrap with Early Espresso. And we're going to stamp the bigger heart with Real Red. And two of the smaller hearts with Real Red. And then I've got this polka dot pattern paper and the coffee cup image. Going to ink that in Early Espresso. Now I have just the Early Espresso ink and card base and some scratch paper so I don't get ink all over my mat. We're going to stamp some texture on the card base using the coffee beans stamp. And here's how I did that. I started about, I don't know, maybe half an inch over, and the image is like a Y. We've got two beans and then one bean. We're going to stamp off the edge, and then we're going to nestle the next image so that the two beans kind of nestle up the one bean. Do you see? So we've got two and one. It kind of makes a Y, and then it makes a Y, and we're going to go straight down the card like that. Okay, so there are our beans. Now we're going to turn this 90 degrees, and let me show you. See? So now instead of our Y going up off the top, it goes off the side. So these beans are going to make a continuous pattern down the side of the card. I'll finish that up. Okay, our little background stamping's all done. Let's get the big shot and we'll do some die cutting. Okay, I've got my big shot set up here with all the images and all the dies. We can do all of our die cutting in one pass. You'll notice that the scallop edge here starts at half a scallop and it ends at half a scallop. That's something to be aware of when you're doing your die cutting. Okay, I've got my 3/4 inch circle punch here, old school Stampin' Up style. And I'm going to pop out that little scallop. We're gonna have to fussy cut our straw and hearts. I'll be right back. Let me take care of that. Okay, I'm back. I've fussy cut my little hearts and my straw, and I've got the new, brand new, itty bitty mini dimensionals. Aren't these cute? Look at this. Here's a mini dimensional, and here is a Stampin' Dimensional. You see the difference? Isn't that crazy? These little bitty ones are gonna come in so handy. All right, so I'm gonna put a mini one on the back of the heart, and then the straw, I cut a piece of it out because when we die cut the lid, we lost our straw. So what we wanna do is make that straw extend again. So I got a bit of multi-purpose liquid glue on the end of the straw, and then we're just gonna line up with the pattern that's stamped there. So there's our little straw. And I'm going to take a half of a mini dimensional and put that on the back of the straw. Just at the top there to support it. Well, I've got my liquid glue. I'm going to drag just the tiniest little bead along the top of the cup here, And then I'm going to add the lid. Almost done with our coffee cup here. I've got Life Happens, Coffee Helps, our little coffee cozy. Put some multi-purpose liquid glue on there and add it to our coffee cup. Cute, huh? All right, it's time for some dimensionals. Okay, next up I've got that piece of pear pizzazz. We're gonna punch out one of these little tabs. How cute is that? And fold it. Then I've got my little scallop printed circle there, the one that we stamped and cut out earlier. And we're gonna put that on the tab. Cute, right? Let's get my sample in here so you can see what I'm doing. Let's adhere our wood grain pattern with a little bit of snail adhesive. Okay, got the bittiest bit of excess here. Let me trim that off. Get some of these other pieces in here. I've got that herringbone sky pattern. And we're going to add that directly to our card front. Now that scallop piece that we made, let's get that on there. See, it's got to be kind of low to accommodate this large mat. But before we add the mat, I've got that coffee ring pattern and our adorable little tab. We're going to take this tab and put some multi-purpose liquid glue on each side there. Then about a ½ inch from the bottom, we're going to glue the tab. Now I've got a 1/16 inch hole punch here. We're going to come in and punch a hole at the bottom and punch a hole at the top. I have some linen thread here. I think it's going to take maybe 9 inches or so, but we're going to go in through the front, that first little 1/16 inch hole we punched, and then up through the back. Then we're going to tie a bow. And trim off the excess. Now we can get our snail adhesive and adhere our pattern layer to our early espresso mat. It's coming together, isn't it? Oh, look how cute it is, kind of tilty. I like that. I might go with it. What do you think, tilty? I definitely like the coffee rings. That paper was ingenious. After I made this one, I walked away and said, I should have used the pattern with the rings. Really cute. Okay, tilty or straight? I don't know. I'm going tilty. Our cup can't be tilty though, that would be a mess. All right, let me get some snail and put this down. Okay, I've exposed the adhesive on all those dimensionals we added earlier. Let's get our cup positioned. Then that little heart that we put the mini dimensional on. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. I can't help but smile when I say mini dimensional. There we go. And then lastly, we've got these other two little hearts from Tabs for Everything that we fussy cut earlier. We're gonna add those with a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue. There they are. Life happens, coffee helps. All right, here's the one we made, tilted mat. And the mat is made with that coffee ring from the Coffee Break Designer Series paper. Here's one that follows the sketch a little bit more closely. We've got a Whisper White background here. And if you've got any questions about this project or about Stampin' Up, if there's anything I can do to help you stay crafty, email me, Marissa@kitchentablestamper.com. Thanks for watching.